What's cracking, Jack? You're in the jungle. Week 2 of the NFL. We're going to break down every single game on Sunday and come up with the best bet for all of them right here, right now. Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the show. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the jungle. I've got a bet for every single game on Sunday in the NFL. And I'll have a separate standalone video for the two Monday night games as well. And I'm going to leave 2 links for you in the comment section. The first link is to my $5 favorite play of the week, and for just $5 and no further obligation, you get my best bet of week 2 text right to your phone. The second link is to become a Jungle member, and for as little as 55 cents a day, you get my full betting card sent to your phone every single morning, access to our members-only Discord, and a direct line to me if you'd like me to opine on any other bet that you are considering placing. We have a free weekly trial. Take it for a test spin and see if it's for you. Today's video is brought to you by Outlier.bet, the top name in sports betting research, and by Red Lobster. Red Lobster, better than having crabs. First game we're looking at is San Francisco at New Orleans. San Francisco is -3, and they're without a whole bunch of players, including quarterback Brock Purdy and all-pro tight end George Kittle. I think their defense is good. They still have a lot of talent, and the Saints' offense, led by Spencer Rattler, moved the ball just a little bit at the end of their first game against the Cardinals, but really isn't a threat to let up the scoreboard in any way. The Saints' defense looked decent. They allowed just 276 yards in week 1, not bad. I think the 49ers' game plan will be to run the clock down and get out of New Orleans with a win. It's going to be a lot of Christian McCaffrey, a lot of the clock moving. The over-under is sitting at 40.5 now, and I think we go under the total in this game. 2 good enough defenses, a terrible Saints offense, and the Niners offense without their starting quarterback and tight end. We go over on the high totals, we go under on the low totals. Give me San Francisco, New Orleans under 40.5. Chicago at Detroit, the Lions are laying 6.5 here at home. I think Detroit minus the points is the play. The Lions got stomped in Green Bay last week, and they were poor offensively because they could not establish the run against the Packers defense. A very good Packers defense, so it seems. That shouldn't be the case this week, though, against the Bears defense. Caleb Williams in week 1 looked good on his first drive, maybe his first 2 drives. But as the game went on and the defense adjusted to him, you saw that he's still a young guy trying to learn the NFL. I think this is a great get-right game for the Lions at home. I don't think they go 0-2, and I think they have to put a show on here for the home fans. I think this line should be 7.5. There's a bit of an overreaction to the poor performance that the Lions had in week 1 against Green Bay. Remember, this was still one of the best offenses in football last season. Give me Detroit minus the points. Bills at the Jets. The Bills are -6.5. I think this is a tough spot for Buffalo. The Jets have always given them fits, even when they're the far inferior team. The Bills' run defense looked absolutely porous if you will, in week 1. And without that improbable comeback, we're talking about the Bills a lot differently today. The Bills allowed 238 rushing yards on Sunday against the Ravens, by far the most that any defense allowed in the first week. And the Jets ran the ball very well in week 1 against the Steelers' defense. That's a better run defense than Buffalo. The Jets ran for 182 yards on Pittsburgh. The Bills are a much better team than the Jets, of course, but I don't like the 6.5 points with Buffalo. I think this game is ugly. Take the Jets with the points. Browns at Baltimore. Baltimore laying 11.5 at home. Baltimore put up 432 yards of offense against the Bills in week 1. The Browns allowed just 141 to the Bengals, second lowest of any team. Yards allowed in week 1 next to the Broncos. The Baltimore defense did allow 497 yards, however, to Buffalo. But that's the Bills' offense, and the Browns are certainly not that. They put up just 16 points against a terrible Cincinnati Bengals defense that looks to be a problem again for the Bengals this year. I think Baltimore runs away with this game. I think the worst team on the field by far is the Browns' offense. I will lay the points with the Ravens. Giants at the Cowboys. Dallas is -5.5. I think that's the play in this game. I can't find one salvageable thing that's positive to take away from the Giants' week 1 performance against the Commanders. Russell Wilson looked awful. He looked like he didn't want to be there, and they're starting him again. I don't know why they're doing that. They had 3 drives inside the 5-yard line and failed to punch it in any one of those drives. The entire Giants playbook seems to be forcing the ball to Malik Neighbors. Even if the play is called for someone else, somehow they end up throwing it to Malik Neighbors. I think Dallas is more dangerous than people give him credit for, and they're saying. That was a well-contested Week 1 game against Philadelphia, who might be the best team in the NFL again. And I think that at home, the Cowboys are looking to make a statement in this game against a much inferior opponent. Lay the 5.5 with Dallas. Jacksonville at Cincinnati. The Bengals are -3. Now, I don't know how good Jacksonville is because I don't know how bad the Panthers are, the team they beat in Week 1. But Jacksonville has a ton of talent. They move the ball well. In Week 1, they put up 378 yards and 26 points. The Bengals' offense looked terrible. They gained just 141 yards last week against the Browns, second lowest total of any team next to the Titans. Now, we can't draw too many conclusions from Week 1, but that's all we have to go on statistically for this season. And we know the Bengals' defense is still very bad. I'm happy to take the Jaguars with the points here. Jacksonville plus the field goal and a half. New England at Miami. Miami is -1.5. I said last week that I'm not as big on a New England Patriots turnaround as most people are this season. I picked the Raiders to win that game, and I was right. But Miami's got awful. It's a bunch of talented, soft players with no discipline who don't respect their goofy coach. Dolphins offense manages 211 yards last week and scored just 8 points against the Colts. The Colts might be okay, but the 85 Bears defense, they are not. The Patriots are the opposite. They don't have as much talent at the skill positions as Miami does, but they are disciplined and they're physical. I can't back the Dolphins at all based on what I saw in Week 1 and how they finished last season. My play in here is the Patriots plus the 1.5. Rams -5.5 at Tennessee. The experience at quarterback is the difference here to me. And it doesn't get more experience than Matthew Stafford, quarterback of the Rams. Cam Ward is making his second ever NFL start. Week 1, the Titans had the lowest yardage of any team in the NFL. They managed 62 yards passing and 71 yards on the ground. Cam Ward has a lot to learn about professional football. The Rams look good in a convincing win against the Houston Texans team, allowing just 9 points in that game to a good offense. Both defenses are good. The Rams will be without their 2 starting guards in this game, but I just don't think that Tennessee has enough offensively to compete in this game. I think the Rams win this game by maybe double digits. I'll take the Rams minus the 5.5, and I'd also look maybe toward the under 41.5. Seahawks at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is -3. Seattle's defense is very good, but the problem is they lack an elite pass rusher, and that's a good thing for Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers' offense. I think that the shootout between the Jets and the Steelers in Week 1 was a bit misleading. I think it was 2 quarterbacks just trying to show their old ball teams what they're missing out on. But I'm not a believer in Sam Darnold. I said it last week. I need to see him away from Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson and that Vikings offense. And the Seahawks had the 4th lowest offensive output, yardage-wise, of any team in Week 1, led by Darnold. I think Pittsburgh is a better team overall, and I don't think there's any way that they lose the home debut of Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Give me Steelers -3. Denver at the Colts. The Broncos are -1.5, and that's the play here. Denver has an elite defense. They were number 1 in they were number 1 in Week 1 this year in yards allowed. They allowed just 62 passing yards and 71 rushing yards. The offense needs to be better, and I think they will be this week. The Colts scored on every drive in Week 1 against Miami, but I don't know how much we can take away from that because I think Miami is really, really bad, and that entire team's in disarray. I think the Broncos are a better team here by a wide margin. I need to see more to Daniel Jones with the Colts before, more than just a good game against a terrible Dolphins team before I back him in any way. Lay the 1.5 with the Broncos. Panthers at the Cardinals. Arizona laying 6.5. I like the Cardinals in this game. Defense is very physical. They played well against the Saints, even though the Saints aren't a measuring stick for defensive capabilities. But Carolina struggled to move the ball against the Jaguars defense in Week 1. They had just 255 yards in that game and scored just 10 points. Panthers defense also got torched by the Jags offense that gave up 378 yards and 26 points. I think the Cardinals are a touchdown better than the Panthers, especially in Arizona. I think the Panthers in for a long season. Lay the 6.5 with Arizona. Super Bowl rematch, Philadelphia at Kansas City. It's close to a pick'em game here. Take the Eagles on the money line. After the beatdown in the Super Bowl last year, what has really changed that much between these two teams? Yes, the Chiefs tightened up their offensive line, but we saw how the Chargers' defense held them in check and got to Mahomes. The Eagles did lose some defensive players, but it's still one of the top 3 defenses in the NFL. Travis Kelce is not the same, and the Chiefs will be, of course, without Rashee Rice again because he misbehaved. Shame on him. I don't think this line is really appropriate for this year's Chiefs. I think this line is appropriate for last year's Chiefs. I think the Eagles take care of business here on the road. Give me Philadelphia on the money line. Falcons at the Vikings, the Sunday night game. Last one we're looking at for Sunday. And Minnesota's minus 3.5. I'm on the Falcons with the points here. Michael Penix looked very good in week 1 against Tampa Bay. He was throwing the ball all over the place against them. The Falcons put up 358 yards and 20 points against the Bucs. Falcons defense doesn't look too bad either, just 260 yards allowed to that Baker Mayfield-led offense in a very close game. J.J. McCarthy did not look good the first 3 quarters of that game against the Bears, and I think that people are overreacting a little bit to that win. The offense looked stale, just 246 yards against a subpar Chicago defense, and the Vikings defense allowed 317 yards and 24 points to the Bears. I like the Falcons with the points in this game. They're better than Chicago is in every way. So I like them with the points. I really think it's going to be a close game, highly contested, and Penix has more experience than J.J. McCarthy starting just his second game ever. I'm not a believer yet in McCarthy. I'm not saying he can't get it done. I'm just saying I need to see it first. The Falcons are a high-octane offense, and I don't think that Minnesota has that kind of offensive firepower to keep up if it turns into a track meet. Give me the Falcons plus the 3.5. Let's have a day, Jungle Nation, and I'll see you next time with a little more money in your pocket.